Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we are going to solve one more front-end related question to prepare for the front-end interviews. I have this series front-end interviews, which you can check out. Also, I know I haven't made videos from a very long time, but I'll continue to make some videos in this series so that you guys can check that series and prepare for front-end interviews. So currently I'm in the bigfrontend.dev website, which you guys can also check out. This website contains a lot of JavaScript coding questions and React coding questions list, which you can check out and practice to prepare for the front-end interviews. I'll be solving one question from the JavaScript coding question. Let's scroll down and we will be solving the basic debounce function in this video. So in the interviews, a lot of time interviewer asks you to implement a basic debounce function. Like he first says you to explain what exactly is debounce and what are its applications, and then he'll tell you to write a basic debounce functionality, in JavaScript. So in simple language, let's understand what exactly is debounce. So here is one example. So let's say some events are happening A, B, C, D, but what exactly will happen after debouncing is that only the last event will be counted, and it will be counted after a certain interval of time, and all the events which happened before, they will be neglected. Similarly, as you can see, it's happening over here, like E, F, G is getting called, but only G is counted after a certain interval of time. Okay, so we have seen these type of examples. Let's say you are searching something, you are typing something, let's say how to make this project, and when you have typed the last character, then only search functionality is happening. So that's where debounce is happening. Okay, so there are lots of applications of this. So in this video, we will be implementing a basic debounce function. So we will be basically implementing something which will basically do something like this. Okay, so let's scroll down, and here we have some code which is written. So here we have this debounce function which we have to implement here in the right side. So let's understand what this code is exactly doing. So we are calling this run function with this array, and this function, what it does is it takes this input array, and then it basically looping over all the array items, and then calling this debounced function after a certain interval of time with the argument. So argument, as you can see, it will be the this first character, this one before the @ character. So we're calling this debounce function with the argument. And what this function is doing, as you can see, this basically is calling this debounce function with this function, and this function is basically just pushing this string in the calls array. So we have to basically implement this debounce function. So as you can see, we're calling this wrapper function over here. That means this function will return us some wrapper function which we can call with some arguments. So that's what we have to implement. So let's go to right side. So let me just clear my previous code which I have written. I'll just explain in a very simple language. So as we know that this debounce function will return us some wrapper function. So let me write. So it will return us some wrapper function in which you can pass some arguments. So in the left hand side example, we are only passing one argument, but it can be n number of arguments. So that's why we will write here spread operator with the args keyword. So you can pass n number of arguments and they will be stored in this args variable. Okay, now this function, what it will do is it will basically call this function after a certain interval of time. So for that, you can create a timer and you can write set timeout, and you can call this function after a certain interval of time. But we also want to do one thing. We also want to clear the timer. Like as you can see in this example, all these events, they didn't get logged. Why? Because we are clearing the timer. Okay, so let's clear the timer over here. You can write clear timeout. So let me just clear this timer here as well. Okay, so let me just explain this code again. So what we are doing is we are basically returning a wrapper function which can take n number of arguments, and the first task which we are doing is we are clearing the timer. So let's say you're calling A, B, C. So when let's say we called A, so first we are doing the clearing the timeout. So we cleared the timer, and then we basically want to call our function after a certain interval of time. But again, some event happened. So what again we will do, we will again do the same task. We will clear the timer and again we will create the timeout function and we'll call the function after a wait interval of time, correct? So in the last D when we will reach, as you can see there are no events happening over here. So then this our code will finally happen and it will call this function after this delay time. Okay, here one thing is missing, like we want, as you can see in the left hand side, we are calling this function with some argument. So we want to pass the argument. So how we will pass arguments over here? So we can't directly do this. So we have two ways. Either you can use the call method or you can use the apply method. So if you don't know about these, it's okay. I'll also make a separate video on it, but here I'll just tell you in a brief. Like if you want to call a function with some arguments, basically let's say I'll write func.call, and the first parameter which it takes is the this context, and the next is the argument array, as you can see. So you can directly write args. Okay, so basically what this will do is this call method will return you a function with the arguments that you have passed over here, and it will be called directly. Okay, the other way is to use the apply. So apply takes again same parameters, this and, but it takes the but this okay, let me just see here. As you can see, it again it takes the same parameter, so you can just simply pass args. So let me just submit this and let's see. So as you can see, all my test cases have been passed. So I hope you understood the code. It's very simple. So basically we are returning a wrapper function, which basically is doing first task is to clear the timeout, and the second is to create a new timer which will basically call our function after a particular delay. And the new thing was the apply keyword over here. So basically you can't just call directly this function because it is a variable. Okay, so that's why we are using apply, and we are passing this this keyword and the arguments which you want to basically pass to this function. Now one more thing is here, you like you might want to use arrow function over here, but you can't use directly arrow function over here because this keyword does not work correctly with the arrow function. So that's why we were using the function keyword. So I hope you understood the basic debounce functionality which we implemented over here. So in the next video we will see how to implement a throttle, which is basically somewhat similar to debounce. So yeah, I hope this video was useful. So yeah, see you in the next video, guys.